I'm Bob, and I like coffee. I also like to tell stories. Here at the Bobcast, it's time for a coffee break. So, take a coffee break with me and pour yourself a cup of your favorite Joe. By the time you're done with your coffee, you will know something about me you really didn't need to know. But you will have fun learning it. Just remember, my stories are true. For the most part. Today I'm sipping my favorite Joe out of a coffee cup that was made by my daughter-in-law. And it is this very special cup. It has a design on it and a color to it that is just unique. And I like this cup very, very much. And it actually works really well. I'll show you. Coffee is good. Today is episode 5. Episode 5 is going to be it's the second part of what's going to end up being a 4-part series, Camping with the Boys. Today is Timmy's first camping trip. And it went something, as I remember, like this. The first camping trip with Troop 125 that Timmy had was 2 years after Tommy and I started with the troop. This time, it was not car camping, but a real hike. 8 miles uphill into a campsite in the San Gabriel Mountains. For a first-time hike, this was pretty grueling. Now, all the boys did fairly well on that first day. They were excited, they were well rested, and especially the kids that it was their first, real hike. It was very exciting. We got up to camp a normal amount of time. I mean, we didn't try to push anybody hard. We did take some breaks, but we got up there, and the boys were excited. And we got camp set up, and they started goofing around. And then next thing we know, it's nighttime, and some of the boys weren't ready to go to sleep. When I say some of the boys, I do mean all of them, including Timmy. And they all stayed up, having a great time. It was like wrangling cats. So sometime in the wee hours of the morning, the adults finally won the battle, and the kids went to sleep. But in the end, we lost the war. Because the next morning, we had to get those kids up. And to get the kids back home by 3 p.m., we had to get on the trail by 8. And that meant we had to get those kids up early enough to get breakfast in them and break down the camp. So with less than 5 hours of sleep, which should have been plenty, we realized that these boys were not ready to get up. Now, Tim is normally a wide-awake person all the time. In fact, family calls him Wide Awake William. Except for this time. He was having just as much trouble getting up as the rest of the boys. But we finally did get food in him. We got the camp broken down. We got the backpacks loaded. And we were ready to go down the mountain. Now, with half a mile into the hike, I mean, we have barely broken out of the camp. The first of the boys from the troop came up to their dad and said that their backpack was a little too heavy and they were having trouble. So the dad pulls out some things and he puts it into, from his son's backpack into his backpack. A few minutes later, another shows up, and then another. And by the end of the first mile, the dad's bags are starting to get heavier and heavier. But not Bob's bag. Timmy has not stopped by. And that's a good thing because Bob is the one who packs everything. The first aid kit, extra food, extra fuel, an extra blanket. I mean, things that new dads to the troop and new boys to the troop might forget. Bob had the troop supply in his backpack to make sure that nobody had a bad experience, especially on their first camp out. But my luck was about to run out. As we were walking down the hill, I looked down and all of a sudden, bam, Timmy is right there, like a ninja. My backpack is really heavy. So I looked at the other dads. We all rolled our eyes, and I said, no problem. And I took out of his pack his sleeping bag, and I tied it to the side of my bag because there was absolutely no room inside of my bag. By the time I got the backpack back on, Timmy was gone and out of sight. And the dads, we all started marching together back down the mountain. Half an hour goes by. Boys keep showing up, lightening their load. And then bam! Timmy is standing right next to me again. My backpack is really heavy. No problem, Timmy. I pull out the camp stool and I strap it to the side of my bag. And by the time I got my bag back on, Timmy is gone, nowhere to be seen. An hour goes by, and while each dad is getting loaded down, and then bam! Timmy comes out of nowhere. My bag is hurting my shoulders. It's just too heavy. Okay, so once again, I open up the bag and I look in, and there is one pair of shoes and one unused change of clothing. That's all that's in the bag. Looking down into Timmy's pitiful eyes, I grab the offending shoes and clothing and handed back an empty backpack. And bam! He's gone. Before I can even get my bag off to attach the shoes and the clothing. But I do. I get it all strapped onto my bag. And now I'm starting to look like a medieval peddler going town to town. I am jingling and jangling with all the extra stuff bouncing on the sides of my bag. And with a little bit of humor from the other dads, here we go again, back down the hill. Now, we're getting closer and closer, and we're getting near this parking lot, but we're not quite there yet. And bam! Tim is by my side once again, almost on death's door. And with great pain in his voice, he says, "The pack is hurting my shoulders." My brain is exploding at this time. It's an empty pack, and we only have less than a mile to the parking lot, and it's downhill. But my mouth says, okay, where should I put your bag? I already have everything else strapped to my bag. And that's when Scoutmaster Mark looks over at me and says, "Here, I'll take it." And this time, I got to see Tim's escape. running as fast as he could to get out of sight of the adults, he took off like a flash. The vein on the side of my head started to pump. And the next thing I know, my backpack is off and on the ground. And I am pounding down the trail after Timmy. And I caught up to him just before the parking lot, turned him around, and marched him back up the hill where Scoutmaster Mark and my backpack were waiting. First, apologize for dumping your pack on the Scoutmaster and then running off. Second, here is your pack with your stuff back in it. Now, march it to the car. And lo and behold, like a true Boy Scout, Tim strapped on his backpack and he just marched right down the hill to the parking lot. Well, I stood up and I got my backpack on and I got ready to go down the hill, and Scoutmaster Mark looked at me and said, "Do you think Timmy will realize all the extra stuff you put in his pack?" Well, to this day, I don't think he ever did. But I will tell you this. Timmy, today, is one of the greatest hikers I know. And he is training that hiking spirit into his kids. And man, do I appreciate that. All right, till next time, for I believe it'll be episode 6, we are going to be having Bobby. So Bobby will be up next. Have fun, and I'll talk to you soon.